Hey there. Today we're going to talk about our fourth and final component used to study history. In the other parts of this unit, we've talked about already how we need to be able to think chronologically. We need to be able to then comprehend those events that are occurring in history, and then, of course, analyze them and interpret that information. Today we want to talk about historical research, and the term that we often use as historians with this theme or this concept of historical research is inquiry. This is where we get to be the investigator. This is where we get to be the detective of history here. And it's going to start with a question. And we're going to talk about today how to construct those questions, how to form those questions. Very oftentimes, I think we've often in the past gotten this backwards. We look at the what for history. What happened, and with that we may even do the who and the where, so forth. We really need to focus on the how and the why. How did this happen? Why did this happen? And then take that even a step further as to determining the impacts of those events. The what for this discussion of history is really going to be used, those facts, really, to support the dates, the people, the events, really just used to support the how and the why. Okay, so we are going to have to use, in order to pull off this historical research piece of studying history, we are going to have to use previously discussed. This is kind of where it all comes together. So we're going to have to start with some historical research, and we really need to go beyond that textbook. This is where we're going to do, find some sources that may require a little effort to identify there. Trying to get somebody else's point of view and maybe something other than just what's right there in the book in front of you. All right. So there are some steps. There are some steps going to be taken in order to do this. We're going to first of all go back to that historical analysis part, and we are going to critique those sources. We're going to critique those interpretations, and in order to do that, we talked about you need to have some set of criteria. You need to have some expectations. Again, the facts are neither good nor bad. We have to be able to determine that by looking at the criteria that we've previously established. Then we're going to raise new questions. Digging a little deeper there. What questions have been unanswered by the resources that we have available right in front of us, and hopefully that will spur us to find some new sources and maybe even develop our own ideas. And once again, the last thing that you need to understand is this is going to take some effort. It's not going to be just a sit and get type thing. Historical research, to really be a true historian, is going to cause you to have to exert yourself. Okay, so be ready. Talking about these historical questions, how do we form historical questions? It comes from deconstructing sources and looking at a variety of sources. I think previously we've already talked about how information in a textbook is maybe one source, but looking at those primary sources and deconstructing them. And what does that mean to deconstruct something? Well, it means to, of course, read it, try to determine the attitudes, try to determine the motives, try to determine, what are the belief systems of the people who are generating, and is this fact or is this just simply another interpretation? All those things can be beneficial for us in developing historical questions. Okay. The idea is that we're going to create our own ideas. We're not going to rely on another person's point of view. If the book says that this was a bad event, or if this was a good event, this was a positive or a negative, really we want to know, what do you think? And so we got to be able to construct those ideas, which are answers to those historical questions, but we got to be able to support it too. And this is where we get to the I believe because statements that we're going to make from time to time. what do you believe, and then not just simply because I said so or because I read it somewhere, but you're able to support it going back to the, using those what question answers to support the how and the why. And how are you going to use this? Well, simply, you're going to be involved in class discussions. You're going to be able to be an important part of, engaging in conversations and debate. You're going to be able to write essays and really just promote yourself and your own ideas. All right. Thanks.